What's up, y'all? Here's another one. If you eat wheat, whole wheat, oats, and things like that, yeah, this I just found out the other day myself. Because I'm a big wheat bread eater. I love oats and all that stuff, man.
In yet another example of how these weird chemicals have become essentially ubiquitous in the modern American diet, well, a new study just came out showing that a pesticide that's been linked to infertility was found in upwards of 80% of the people here in America. Specifically, this was a paper that was published in the Journal of Exposure Science and Environmental Epidemiology, and it was titled A Pilot Study of Chlormecat in Food and Urine from Adults in the United States from 2017 to 2023. With the term pilot study, meaning that previously this wasn't something that was being measured. And there's a good reason for that. Because you see, the chemical that's in question is called chlormecat. It's a pesticide that very few people here in the US have heard about previously because prior to the year 2018, it was actually not allowed to be used in food. Here's how this is described in the context of this actual study. Quote, chlormecat chloride is an agricultural chemical first registered in the US in 1962 as a plant growth regulator, although currently only allowed for use on ornamental plants in the US. A 2018 decision by the EPA permitted the import of foods, primarily grains, treated with chlormecat. In the European Union, the United Kingdom, and Canada, chlormecat chloride is approved for use on food crops, primarily wheat, oats, and barley. Chlormecat acts to decrease stem height, thereby reducing the likelihood of crops bending over, which can make harvesting difficult. Meaning, in plain English, that starting in the year 2018, because of this regulatory change on the part of the EPA, more and more products sold here in the US were grown using chlormecat. Now, initially in 2018, the EPA set their official tolerance level for chlormecat at 10 parts per million. However, just 2 years later in 2022, the EPA revised their standards and they increased that maximum amount of chlormecat by 4 times, meaning the food can possess upwards of 4 parts per million starting in the year 2020. This
Let me stop there right there for a second. This is Facts Matter with Roman Balmakov. Okay, he already has 61,000 views on it. But what he's talking about, what do you think about all the childhood problems? What is it? Down syndrome, all the muscular dystrophies, all the child cancers, and all that. See what I mean? Through the vaccines as well.
change in standard. It allowed for more companies to ship their grains here to America, which is of course all well and good, except for the fact that chlormecat has been shown to be linked to serious infertility and reproductive problems in animals. Quote, despite being approved for use on crops in Europe and parts of North America, chlormecat exhibits concerning toxicological properties. In the early 1980s, the impacts of chlormecat exposure on reproductive toxicity and fertility were first described by Danish pig farmers who observed reproductive declines in pigs raised on chlormecat treated grains. These observations were later investigated in controlled laboratory experiments on pigs and mice, whereby female pigs fed chlormetat-treated grains exhibited disrupted estrous cycling and difficulty mating compared to animals on a controlled chlormetat-free diet. Furthermore, you had additional testing which found problems not only in female animals, but also in their male counterparts. Quote,
Hmm.
additionally, male mice exposed to chlormetat via diet or drinking water during the development cycle exhibited
Yeah.
decreased fertilization capacity of sperm in vitro. More recent reproductive toxicity studies on chlormecat show
Yeah.
delayed onset of puberty, reduced sperm motility, increased weights of male reproductive.
Yeah, let me also stop right there. You remember Alex Jones when he said something about turning the frogs gay and all? Yeah, that right there, y'all. It literally reverses the male. And yeah.
Organs and decreased testosterone levels in rats exposed during sensitive windows of development, including during pregnancy and early life. And so, given the, you can say, absolute free fall that the average male sperm count has been on for the past 50 or so years, well, these types of findings are concerning, to say the least. That a new pesticide is being introduced to the American diet, which has been shown, at least in animals, to cause all sorts of fertility issues. Furthermore, despite the fact that the EPA claims that keeping chlormecat at 40 parts per million is safe, it's really worth noting that there are studies which suggest that these standards are inadequate for maintaining safety in humans. Quote, toxicological studies suggest that exposure to chlormecat can reduce fertility and harm the developing fetus at doses lower than those used by regulatory agencies to set allowable daily intake levels. Meaning, that it might be the case that even with doses lower than 40 parts per million, fertility problems might still arise. And so this was the backdrop for the study. In 2018, this pesticide was allowed into the US market, and then subsequently in 2020, the standards were changed to allow more of it to appear in our food. And so, seeing this, the researchers over at the Environmental Working Group, they tested people during a time period ranging from 2017 all the way up to 2023. And so essentially, this study was measuring people right before chlormecat was allowed into America, and then subsequently for the next 5 years afterwards. And what they found was shocking to say the least. Quote, chlormecat was detected in 77 of 96, or 80% of all urine samples. Detection frequencies were higher in 2023 samples compared to 2017 and 2018 to 2022 samples, with 69%, 74%, and 90% of samples with detections, respectively. And then right below, they have a visual graph showing how in 2017, as well as the period between 2018 and 2022, the rates were pretty stable.
So now you know why we have so many people coming out of the woodworks and all that about the Roundup weed killer and all that with the on the farms and the growers and the harvesters and all. Yep, that's why. All the crap that's in our food, y'all. Ask yourself, from 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have all this stuff like we do nowadays. Yeah.
But in the year 2023, the chlormecat concentrations in these urine samples of American people, they skyrocketed. Quote, the presence of chlormecat in urine samples collected from people in the U.S. with detection frequencies of 69%, 74%, and 90% for samples collected in 2017, 2018 through 2022, and 2023, respectively. Chlormecat was detected at low concentrations in samples from 2017 through 2022, with a significant increase in concentrations for samples from 2023. And we can only guess what it looks like now in 2024. And so all this means that even outside of the number of Americans who are testing positive for chlormecat, the actual concentration of this stuff in people's urine, it rose dramatically. The study suggests that the reason for this higher concentration is, quote, may reflect the likely recent introduction of chlormecat into the U.S. food supply due to EPA regulatory action changes involving chlormecat. Such changes include establishing limits on chlormecat in food in 2018 and raising those limits for oats in 2020. These actions permitted import and sale of agricultural products that have been treated with chlormecat, for example, from Canada. And what perhaps makes this data even more wild is the fact that, according to these researchers, chlormecat should actually leave the body 24 hours after ingestion. And so the fact that people's urine samples reflect higher and higher and higher concentrations of this stuff, well, it seems to suggest what the researchers call continuous exposure to the chemical. And so here's where we get to the heart of the matter, continuous exposure. Because according to these researchers, the way that people are coming into non-stop contact with chlormecat is by eating very popular brands of oat-based products, things that you very likely have covered right now. Quote, we detected the chemical in 92% of oat-based foods purchased in May of 2023, including Quaker Oats and Cheerios. To test for chlormecat, the Environmental Working Group bought 13 non-organic or conventional oatmeal, granola, cereals, and other oat-based products, and one organic granola product in spring and summer of 2022. All but one had detectable levels of chlormecat. Quaker's old-fashioned oats had the highest concentration at 291 parts per billion. The next highest samples, all above 100 parts per billion, included two more Quaker products, Honey Nut Oatmeal Squares and Maple and Brown Sugar Instant Oatmeal, as well as Great Value Oats and Honey Granola and Cheerios.
I got some I just bought in there.
The conventional product, meaning the only non-organic product with no detectable level of chlormecat, was Kellogg's Special K Fruit and Yogurt. No chlormecat was detected in the single organic granola sample tested. All right, just to pause here for a super quick moment. Listen.
Hey, let me stop it there. But this facts matter with Roman Balmakov. Just look for that guy right there. He's a young guy. He's a bookworm. He knows his stuff. He's got a good channel. This one here, like I said, 61,000 views. A lot of information. But this is what I am, y'all. I'm an information guy myself. This is what I do. Even just for myself. I try to soak up anything and everything I can, and I hate doing it, but I even watch a little bit of crap from the spew and all that. You got to see what the other side's doing. Stupid, but yeah, you got to know how they think, y'all. God bless the United States of America. Screw you commies, you know the drill. Y'all see this. Y'all take care of yourselves, my friends. Later, Patriots.